Don't you just love watching anime high school students get brutally murdered in the expense of your mental health? Danganronpa is a murder mystery visual novel. The rules are simple. You're trapped in a school with 15 of your classmates, and according to the evil monochromatic bear, the only way you can escape is to kill one of them. You know, normal high school projects. Here's the catch though, you've got to get away with your crime. After a student is killed, everyone is forced in a class trial to figure out who the guilty party is. If you guess the killer correctly, then congratulations, only they will be executed. Yes, only they will be brutally murdered by the silly bear guy. If you guess the culprit wrong, everyone else gets brutally murdered by the silly bear guy. You may be asking, well,
what kind of methods of execution are we talking about, Plushroom?
Now that's exactly what we're covering in this video. The executions and punishments from the Danganronpa series are without a doubt my favorite part of the games. They put a hell of a lot of effort into these, some more than others, and I want to talk about absolutely all of the relevant ones, including some of the cutscenes in Ultra Despair Girls. I'm gonna look at every single punishment in the Danganronpa games, not including anything from the anime, and rank them from worst to best. The placement of each punishment can factor into a lot of different things. How much I personally liked it, how much effort was put into it, and probably most importantly, the context of the cutscene in general. How it affects me as a player to watch this during my gameplay. I'll also be factoring in how brutal the punishment actually is, because Mr. Silly Bear Guy really goes ruthless on some of these people. Speaking of the bear, Monokuma, I'm gonna get his help on ranking all of these executions.
Yeah, that's right, fellas. I'm definitely the kind of narcissist to rank my own craft. Like this video and subscribe to Plushroom Kingdom TV or I'll execute you myself.
I'm the least serious YouTuber I know. I already put this at the beginning of the video, but obvious spoiler warning for the entire series. Also, spoiler warning for Ultra Despair Girls if you haven't seen that already. These are the 5 punishment execution-like cutscenes I'll be including from that game, just because they felt like the most relevant, and to make this video a little more unique. I wanted to make this like the ultimate ranking for Danganronpa execution. If you couldn't tell already, I have a bit of a hyperfixation. Alright, that's been like 2 minutes of me yapping. Let's get straight into the ranking. Ironically enough, last place goes to the final execution in the entire series. Ultimate Annihilation takes last place for this list. The punishment, if you really want to call it that, has Kibo destroy the Ultimate Academy and sacrifice himself to destroy the walls around it. Oh yeah, Tsumugi dies too. Do you know how long the 6th chapter of V3 is? 4 mother-friggin' hours. This was hands down the most disappointing execution for me in the entire series. I was just expecting something a little crazier, but considering the fact that this is the end of Danganronpa, at this point of the game, an insane punishment doesn't really matter. Tsumugi just simply being crushed by a giant rock is probably supposed to tie into the fact that she was copying Junko and Ashima till the very end,
by dying the same way as her.
Look, I get why this is like this, but it still could have been something more special for the end of the series, and a lot less forgettable as a whole. Kibo sacrificing himself was incredibly badass, but Tsumugi is only on screen for her death for like 5 seconds. The animation of Kibo blowing up the Ultimate Academy is very similar, if not completely reused, from earlier in this chapter. In this entire cutscene, you literally don't see Shuichi, Maki, or Himiko. If the game really did just end after this cutscene, boy, would I hate this a lot more. But even so, this execution just doesn't stick with me and happens to be my least favorite.
This was so close to being last place.
Bye Bye Ouchies is Mikan Tsumiki, the ultimate nurse's execution. And this is definitely one of the most infamous ones in the entire series. This girl was infected with a disease, brutally killed 2 people, and had one of the craziest mental breakdowns I've ever seen in Danganronpa history. Surely the execution's gonna be fire, right? This is just 60 seconds of gross fan service and whatever this is.
I'll admit, I totally made this up when I was high out of my mind.
This was just a very disappointing conclusion of the 3rd trial overall. I mean, she like orgasms in the middle of the execution. How am I supposed to take this seriously? And what's even worse is that this is like the only execution where you don't see the person die on camera. What was the genuine thought process behind this? It's lame, it's gross, it's disappointing, and completely irrelevant to Mikan's character as a whole. And I can see you typing in the comments already saying that it has to do with her trauma and backstory. But let's be honest, they could have done a way better job portraying that. This entry didn't really need to be included, but you know, the more the merrier. Monami's execution in the prologue of Danganronpa 2. There's not really much to say about it. I mean, she's kind of like shot to death. The animation's fine and everything. It kind of sets the tone for the entire game. Aside from that, this one's incredibly forgettable and kind of unnecessary. Mostly because, well, she still comes back. The 21st spot on the list goes to the punishment of alter ego. Honestly, this one can only really go so high. Smashing a laptop with an excavator isn't really the craziest thing ever. Experiencing alter ego's punishment for the first time, however, I will say was very devastating. That definitely affected me emotionally, but in the long run, this is kinda just on the lamer side of an execution, but I can't really blame them much, it's alter ego. The overall shock factor of him getting a punishment in general pretty much carries it. This is going to be one of the Ultra Despair Girl entries, so if you don't want to see anything from that game, go ahead and skip to this timestamp. I know some people haven't experienced the game, so I'll just put a warning for each of them. With that being said, coming after Alter Ego is the punishment of Nagisa Shingetsu. Oh man, playing through this game, I really love Nagisa. It was definitely heartbreaking seeing his fate end like this. Oh wait. Oh, none of them died. Yeah, all the Warriors of Hope have little execution cutscenes, but like they all survive. Maybe I missed something while playing, but by the time I finished the game, I didn't know this like at all. I found it out on YouTube or something. The fact that they actually survived definitely takes away a couple points, but it was still pretty sad to see Nagisa go like this. I didn't have a reason to care too much. The game made it obvious that something was going to happen to all of the Warriors, and this execution in general isn't really anything special as it's kind of short and like simple. For the 19th and 18th spots, we've got Kyoko and Makoto's executions. Let's talk about Kyoko's first. I was a dumbass. I chose the bad ending. So yes, I did actually think for a second that Kyoko was just straight dead for the rest of the game. But obviously Makoto's is the actual ending, but they both pretty much have the same punishment in general. The problem I have with this punishment is that it just drags on. I get that it does for suspenseful reasons, but it's really not that crazy to watch.
Not to mention, Makoto's a total wuss! I'm still beyond pissed that alter ego guy came back and saved him! Take that giant cinder block like a man!
Yeah, sure, Monokuma. Spoiler alert, the next 4 spots will actually be the last of the Ultra Despair Girls punishments, so if you want to watch the rest of the video without them, go ahead and skip to this timestamp. With that being said, we've got another tie! This time being with Masaru and Jotaro. I'm grouping them together because they're both really similar, but I'm gonna say Masaru's is better for the most part. It was pretty surprising to see these cutscenes play out after the boss battles. I know some people don't like to count these as executions, but they seem pretty on par even with the mainline ones. Obviously, still not on the same level, but almost there. Overall, these weren't crazy executions, but I kind of like them. Why is someone being executed in my Danganronpa prologue? Komaru Naegi is the main character of Ultra Despair Girls, but before you even get to know her all that well, she's trapped in a helicopter and the game pretty much almost kills her.
Hey, cut me some slack, I don't have my helicopter's license!
But she's the protagonist, she can't die. Oh wait. I like how well animated this is overall and how it actually looks like a real execution, but it totally loses points for being another fake out one, so there's not much I can say about it. The last Ultra Despair Girls entry goes to the punishment of Yuta Asahina. This happens to be the brother of Aoi Asahina that the main characters in Ultra Despair Girls happen to run into. They try to escape the city that's being taken over by the children and Monokumas, and Yuta himself comes up with the bright idea to swim away from the city entirely. Guess how well that worked out. Turns out they completely forgot about those silly wristbands. You know, the ones that explode if you try to leave. What I love about this cutscene is that it's completely out of context, and it sets the tone for the game while really hooking the player back into the plot. Obviously, I can't really put this any higher. You only get to know Yuta Asahina for about 5 minutes. There's no sort of attachment built onto this character whatsoever, and it makes me question why they introduced him in the first place, just to kill him 5 minutes later. Maybe some people would be surprised to see this on the lower end of the list, but Gundam Tanaka's execution didn't exactly do it for me. It's not objectively bad, but it's just not one that I personally really liked very much. Don't get me wrong, I loved Gundam. I wish all the best for this man. I love that his hamsters didn't get hurt in this punishment, and I also love the very sweet ending for it. But the thing about the punishments is that they're supposed to be, I don't know, like a little more despairing.
Correction! My punishments inflict despair on the entire world!
Yet I feel like this punishment doesn't really do a good job of doing that.
What do you mean? I recreated that one scene from The Lion King!
Half of the execution is really drawn out, and the whole stampede thing is cool, but one hit and Gundam's down. It's just kind of anticlimactic and underwhelming for an execution. Also, probably one of the least brutal ones I've ever seen. However, I'll give them this, they really made this emotionally impactful. Gundam's a really likable character, and it was really sad to see him go this way.
Hey, this one should have been in last place too. I mean, they try to hurt me.
The ultimate punishment is the execution that Junko Enoshima faces, the mastermind of the first Killing game. It's essentially a compilation and montage of all the executions that were, well, in that game. And while I think this is a cool idea, it kind of loses points for originality here. It also doesn't really make a lot of sense, because after every segment, Junko is completely unharmed, you know, until she gets smashed to death. I still really like this cutscene and think it's a fitting end for Junko as a character, but if the punishment itself made a little more sense, then it'd probably be higher. Next on the list, we've got Blast Off. Not really much to say about this one. This is Jin Kirigiri's execution, but by the time we see the cutscene, we don't really know who it is. This is actually the first cutscene you ever see when playing Danganronpa, and like, it scares you, but you don't really have any emotional attachment to anything, so it's not crazy. Blast Off's second ignition. Remember Blast Off? I just mentioned it earlier. This is the second last punishment in the series, and it's a neat callback to the first one. Obviously, I hate seeing this happen to Kaito, but that's my boy, man. But what I love about this execution is that the character dies on his own terms. It is so satisfying to see Monokuma get pissed over that.
Okay, well, screw you too.
It's not nearly as brutal as the other entries on this list, however, so for now it remains here, but it's a good punishment overall. Now we're getting into the executions that I really like. These are my top 10 and honestly my personal favorites. Starting off with Deep Fried Teru Teru. This one definitely would have been a little more scary if they didn't make it look so silly. I mean, come on, these explosion effects look like I came straight out of The Wind Waker. But nonetheless, this is an insane start to the punishments in Danganronpa 2. Teru Teru is shot by giant missiles, covered in flour and egg wash, and dumped inside a giant volcano. I totally felt bad for him after hearing about his backstory, and then to see this was insane. I also like the touch of detail of him being deep fried when junk and deep fried food are one of his least favorite things.
As the kids say, let him cook.
This wasn't a joke, this was a real panel in the manga. Celeste's execution was definitely one that stood out to me. Celeste is slowly burned alive, but right before she starts to feel any pain, boom, fire truck. I feel like the irony of this punishment alone is really what makes me like it. Celeste probably wanted to die a more unique death, but instead suffered a very common one. And I feel like this reflects on her character very well. The fire truck coming out of nowhere is also an insane surprise factor, and I love the way it's introduced in this cutscene. I will say, however, I'm not the biggest fan of the first half, as it kind of drags on and the music isn't all that special. The Cage of Death, Mondo Owada's execution. I feel like they went an insanely creative route with this. Mondo is put into one of those caged circled circus things and is spun around until the cage electrifies and turns him into butter. What? It's like watching this for the first time feels really gross, especially from by the end of the butter segment. But it was also, obviously, for me at least, very sad to watch. I found Danganronpa 1 Trial 2 to be one of the saddest ones in the series. I grew to really like Mondo as I played through the game, so to see him turn out like this, it really hit hard. Nonetheless, this one's insanely brutal, but is an execution that really stands out in its own way. Also, the music is definitely one of my favorites, hands down. I don't think many people who watch my videos know, but Gonta is one of my favorite Danganronpa characters of all time. He was also one of the characters who I didn't suffer any spoilers for. So as I played the game, I genuinely thought this guy was going to survive throughout the whole thing. Screw this stupid freaking bear, man. This one really hurt to watch. I didn't expect Gonta to be the culprit at all, and followed up with this very brutal execution is insane. And this one would be so much higher if it weren't for that. Yeah, the Monokubs completely butcher this execution with the weird incest thing going on that no one asked for. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but this execution felt a little underbaked for some reason. I just kind of found the other three to be more creative in what they do. You know, this is the third time Monokuma's tried to cook someone, and it makes you wonder if he has a thing for eating people. Korekio's death, while very deserved, is definitely one of the most painful ways to go. He spun around, dropped into a pot, and slowly boiled alive. And then they killed him twice! Monokuma was not f***ing around with this one.
Yeah, I totally banged his sister afterwards too. You know, after erasing his existence.
Also, I'm not one for the Monokubs being a part of the executions and everything. I think it's kind of stupid. But watching Monodam kill himself was definitely not a part of my bingo card. Anyway, for a serial killer who's killed almost 100 people, this is definitely deserved, and a good punishment overall. Also, again, banger music. Holy frig. I forgot to say that about Gonta's execution as well.
Oh my gosh, finally, Monomi's dead! It only took me like 7 tries!
Please insert coin not only kills Chiaki, but Monami as well. For the second time. But this time, you know the truth about both of these characters, and it just hits that much harder. Trial 5 of Danganronpa 2 was incredibly sad, and this execution definitely does the entire trial justice. And honestly, the punishment in general is insanely well done and the most creative in the game. She gets chased by a giant freaking Pac-Man. You can't tell me that's not terrifying. And the Tetris part is just the goddamn cherry on top, man. It's just so good. I also really love what they do with the music here. It's just freaking incredible. I was close to putting this down as the best execution for Danganronpa 2, but there's one more that I think is just a little better. Ah yes, one woman army. From the theming to the punishment itself to the complete surprise factor of Fuyuhiko almost dying, this execution actually takes you through a roller coaster of emotions, and I feel like that's what it's supposed to do. First of all, I didn't expect Fuyuhiko to be in the punishment at all. This feels like an actual cutscene that really belongs in the game. Plus, the execution was the turning point for the character of Fuyuhiko. I just loved his arc in this game so much, and he's definitely one of my favorite characters from Danganronpa 2. I also just love how creative they get with this execution. The samurais were such a great touch, and it's both shocking and brutal enough to earn itself this spot on the list. Blast-off may be the first punishment in the series, but Leon's execution is the first one you really care about. This is our first look at what happens to each culprit after every class trial. And oh my gosh! For taking Sayaka's life, Leon is dragged by the neck, chained to a pole, and is hit by baseball after baseball until he dies. This machine is like blasting him with baseballs like it's an AK-47 as well, hitting every single inch of his body, not to mention Monokuma is knocking the balls back to him.
Just to really make sure he's got twice the balls in his face!
My fault, we're gonna cut that part out. Mind you, this is your first impression of what an execution looks like in this game. If I were in the killing game and saw this happen to one of my homeboys, best know I'm not killing anyone. It's just an insane first impression for an execution. And that's great, because after I saw this, I was hooked into the series. I wanted more. The execution of Leon just does so much for the game and really does a great job of making sure it's still interesting. Yeah, if you thought Leon was bad, wait until you hear about Kaede.
Yeah, whatever. This is the fourth time we're trying to kill one of the main characters. I'm sure she'll be fine.
Kaede Akamatsu is our false protagonist for the first chapter of Danganronpa V3. She has a clear goal in mind, however, to take down the mastermind before the killing game actually begins. In the process of her plan, however, she accidentally kills Rantaro. Oopsie! Rantaro is not the mastermind of the killing game, so she realizes she's a murderer. The truth gets uncovered, and it's one sad ending for her trial. She was just trying to save everyone, and now she's getting executed for killing Rantaro. And let me tell you, they don't go easy on her here. Kaede is dragged by the neck and taken onto a huge piano, in which she is slowly hung, by the neck mind you, and is moved around in a way to play the notes for Flea Waltz, the freaking children's piano song. This absolute horror continues until her lifeless corpse is hung and the piano slams onto her dead body. Pepto-Bismol everywhere! Going from Danganronpa 2's executions, which were the most tame in the series, by the way, to this was insane. I genuinely had my jaw wide open throughout this entire cutscene. Oh yeah, how could I forget? Kaede didn't even kill Rantaro. That was Tsumugi. Which was actually foreshadowed in a really cool way because the way she plays the song is completely wrong. Possibly hinting at the fact that she wasn't even the culprit in the first place. The execution is just so well done. It's just crazy. But there's just one more execution that is absolutely my personal favorite. And that one is Strand of Agony, the execution of Kirumi Tojo. You see, Kirumi here is the de facto prime minister of Japan. In the middle of the killing game, she remembers this and realizes she has to do whatever it takes to escape the academy and save her country. She kills one of her classmates purely to accomplish this, but still gets caught in the end. But don't think she's giving it up that easily, because she literally runs away from her execution. This is surprisingly the only time they actually do this, and it's just so good. She's forced to climb up a spiked vine in a desperation to meet her escape. Oh, but don't think we're done there. Monokuma's made an entire Mario Maker level for her to go through. And she still goes. She still climbs up, gets cut by all of these insane buzzsaws. It's so bad you can literally hear her scream at the end of this segment. She is completely painted in slashes and cuts. And when you think she's actually going to escape, you find out it was all just a desperate illusion. And the vine that she spent all that time climbing completely rips and sends her falling to her death. No one can change my mind. This was the most brutal way to go in the entire series. But it was all peak. The animation, peak. The music, peak. Right before this cutscene even happened, it's just completely peak. The game gives you a good reason to watch this execution, and it just brings despair to the entire freaking audience. I don't even think I have much more to explain. This video is getting long already, so I'm just gonna start ending it here. If you've made it all the way here, thank you so much for watching and tuning in. I worked super hard on this video, and I'm hoping to make more videos like it, so leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.